You see the notification, you read the message, and then you put your phone down. Not because you're busy, not because you don't care, but because something in you quietly insists that right now is not the time to reply. You might tell yourself you'll answer later, when you have more energy, when you can say the right thing, when you're in a better mood. But hours pass, sometimes days, and the message just sits there, growing heavier with each passing moment. This isn't laziness. It's not even avoidance, not really. It's something much more deliberate, much more protective. Your brain has decided that responding immediately costs more than you're willing to pay right now. So what's actually happening when you delay a reply you know you'll eventually send? First, let me tell you something important. You're not broken, you're not rude, and you're not failing at being human. Your brain is doing exactly what it's designed to do. It's protecting you from something it perceives as a threat, even if that threat is just the emotional weight of a simple text message. Because here's the truth most people don't talk about. Every message you receive is a request, not just for information, but for a version of yourself. And sometimes you're just not ready to be that version yet. Think about the last time someone asked you a simple question. How are you? Maybe you were having a terrible day. Maybe you were exhausted, overwhelmed, barely holding it together. And suddenly you had to decide, do I tell the truth and open that door? Or do I perform the version of myself that keeps things easy and light? That calculation happens in milliseconds, and sometimes your nervous system looks at that decision and says, not right now. This is your brain recognizing that communication isn't just about words, it's about energy management. Every reply you send carries your emotional state, your tone, your availability, your boundaries. And when you're already running on empty, composing even the simplest response can feel like assembling yourself from scratch. So you wait. You wait until you have enough of yourself gathered to give. But here's the part nobody tells you. The delay isn't just about energy, it's about control. When someone sends you a message, they've created a small expectation in your life. They've set a tempo. Answer now, and you've agreed to their rhythm. You've entered their timeline, their urgency, their need. Waiting to respond is one of the few ways you can reclaim that rhythm as your own. This goes back further than you might think. As children, many of us learned that our availability was not our own to control. We had to respond when called. We had to engage when expected. Our time, our attention, our emotional presence, it all belonged to whoever needed it. And as adults, we carry that pattern forward until something in us finally pushes back. The delayed response becomes a quiet rebellion, not against the person who messaged you, but against the idea that you owe immediate access to yourself. You've probably noticed this shows up differently depending on who's texting. Your boss gets a reply in minutes. Your best friend might wait hours. Your parents, sometimes days. It's not about love. It's about load. The people closest to you often get the delayed responses because they require the most authentic version of you. You can't just send them a quick emoji and move on. They know you. They'll sense if something's off. So you wait until you can show up fully, or at least more fully than you can right now. This is why you can spend 20 minutes scrolling through strangers' lives on social media, but can't find 30 seconds to reply to someone who actually knows you. One requires nothing of you. The other requires you to be real. And here's where it gets interesting. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to reply at all. Because now you're not just responding to the original message, you're responding to the delay itself. You have to acknowledge the gap, explain the silence, justify the wait. The message that would have taken 10 seconds to answer 3 hours ago now requires a paragraph of emotional labor. Your brain knows this, so it delays even further, hoping the moment will pass, hoping they'll forget, hoping the pressure will somehow dissolve on its own. Psychologists call this avoidance coping, but that makes it sound like a flaw. What it actually is a protection mechanism that worked once and then became a pattern. Maybe there was a time when immediate responses got you in trouble, when saying yes too quickly led to overcommitment, when replying in the moment meant saying something you'd regret.
when being too available made people take advantage of your time. So your brain learned. It built in a buffer, a pause, a moment to assess whether this interaction is safe, whether you have the capacity, whether this version of yourself is one you're ready to share. The behavior made sense then. It might still make sense now, but it's also costing you something. Think about how this shifts as you move through life. In your 20s, not replying immediately might have felt like freedom, a way to seem busy, important, unbothered. You were curating mystery, playing it cool, maintaining some kind of social distance that felt like power. By your 30s, the same behavior starts to feel different. Now, it's not about seeming cool. It's about having too many messages, too many group chats, too many people who need something from you. The delay isn't strategic anymore. It's survival. And somewhere in your 40s or beyond, it evolves again. You stop apologizing for it. You stop explaining. You reply when you reply. And if someone has a problem with that, it says more about their expectations than your limitations. The behavior is the same, but the meaning underneath it changes with every year you live. What never changes, though, is what it's really doing for you. Every delayed response is a small act of emotional regulation. It's your nervous system saying, I need a moment before I let someone else's energy mix with mine. It's your mind creating a boundary where none was explicitly drawn. It's like closing the door to a room before you're ready for company. You're not rejecting the person on the other side. You're just not prepared for what their presence will require of you yet. And in a world that demands constant availability, constant performance, constant connection, that closed door is one of the few places you still have control. This is why the delayed response feels like rest, even when it creates stress. It's a reflex your body has learned to protect your inner world from the outer one, to give you time to be yourself before you have to be yourself for someone else. You're not avoiding the message. You're avoiding the weight of being perceived before you're ready to be seen. And maybe that's not something you need to fix. Maybe it's just something you need to understand. You see the notification, you read the message, and you put your phone down. Not because you're busy, not because you don't care, but because something in you quietly insists that right now is not the time to reply. And that's allowed.